How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not bad.
Last name?
Odrick, O-D-R-I-C-K.
So we can't prove from a human study of autopsies that trauma per se causes CTE, and that's been a major criticism on many groups, that there's no causality, there's no proof of causality in what we've showed over and over. What we're trying to do, and we're not there yet, but we're trying to understand the early lesions in the young guys. And it's taking time to get into the nitty gritty, but I think we're making strides on that.
Hey guys, my name's Jared. I'm a former NFL player. Played football total for about 17 years, so it's my second CTE conference, so I'm appreciative of you guys holding this event. Dr. Stern, what's the main takeaway from your presentation? What was the objective of your presentation?
First of all, Jared, thank you. Anyone who spends some time with Jared realizes he is incredibly brilliant, and what he gets is usually beyond what I understand. And so your question is a really important one. I didn't have conclusions, and I guess the takeaway that I want people to understand, that I tried to get across, is that this is unbelievably complex.
I thought the response to your questioning was so interesting because it was straight out of the post-truth playbook, really.
The first thing I asked was, what was the objective of your presentation, Dr. Stern? What was the objective? Because I'm not sure what to walk away with after your presentation. Because he was telling stories, he was telling jokes, he was telling information that had nothing to do with any of their studies or their labs. It was all a projection of what they hope to do. But then they also said, we're making tremendous strides. And I asked, what specifically are those strides that have been made? He avoided the question. The first thing he said, he's like, let me tell everybody in the room, patronizing the hell out of me, let me tell everybody in the room how wonderful, and what was the word he used?
He said brilliant.
Brilliant Jared is, and he reaches points usually beyond my comprehension. Once again, I think my demographics of being a football player and being the one that you're supposed to be concerned about without donating my brain and my narrative to you is my Trojan horse. It's my Trojan horse to get in here to places like this and for them not to kick me out for asking a hard question, because they'd be kicking out the very person, the very demographic that they're supposed to want to be helping. And I'm not trying to get kicked out. I just think sometimes when you have hair like this, a voice like this, and glasses like this, you walk into an institution, you know? Dr. McKee, I don't mean to be inflammatory. I just think there's, questions that I have that I think are necessary components of my experience, you know what I mean?
Totally.
And I think because of that, I think being, or at least being interpreted potentially as a devil's advocate, I think has a lot of validity in this case, because
I think what you said was important. And I think it makes you stop and think.
Yeah.
So we're doing what we can. But the truth is, if we pretended it didn't exist, we perpetuate the problem. You wouldn't be confronted with this issue if the NFL were taking it seriously, if people were doing something about it while people are still active. The reason you're seeing this bad narrative is because there's still this huge collection of people that are completely deny the science, completely say, I'm making it up, and so that's the issue that you get into.
There's plenty of people that I know that come to me because they, plenty of teammates and former friends that come to me saying, what's going on? What are you doing?
What would you like me to do?
It's not that I'm asking if this is more inflammatory than informative without conclusive,
I just disagree. This is a problem.
What are you disagreeing with?
I disagree that the research and how we talk about it is more inflammatory than helpful. I think this is a huge problem. You're saying that when I present my data, I'm trying to incite people.
No, that we potentially legitimize the things that we can monetize, right? That
I'm not monetizing anything.
When there's a junkyard of broken bodies from the NFL being repurposed into the idea of neurocognitive decline to create these new skews of ideas of how to use these bodies, I think...
I don't know. I think we're way off center now. I don't even understand what you're saying. And I think I'm done. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. All right, yeah. Well, it's cold out there. Hey there.
Good guy.
How you doing? How you been?
Terrific. Thank you.
Good, good. Very good. Yeah.
Several important questions about CTE remain unanswered, such as how common is CTE? Why does one person get it and another person does not? And how can CTE be differentiated during life from other diseases and conditions with similar symptoms?
So the project goals that you outlined in that congressional testimony, you hope to examine progression of CTE over a 3-year period. I think it actually said, most importantly, we will be able to begin clinical trials for treatments and prevention of CTE through developing compound drugs through the pharmaceutical developmental pipeline. So would it be fair to ask what that pharmaceutical development pipeline looks like? What does that consist of?
Yeah, well, so going kind of back to some of the basics, the primary problem in CTE is the development of a bad form of the tau protein, and it clumps together and it creates havoc.
I guess I get scared sometimes when we end up going back to a genesis of something as opposed to describing what that process looks like, as opposed to like the genesis of CTE, because we went to tau protein and the genesis of the disease process when I was hoping
Jared, if you want,
find out about
the way you're asking this, I'd be glad to just get into right away, okay, there's this drug number 24306, and it's in this pipeline in this company, and there's
I'd love
this
to
one.
hear that. Those are the things I'd love to hear. That's exactly why I'm here. And I'd love to be spoken to in a way that you're bringing me along, because I feel like there's a lot of people that come to me because they know that I get access to a prominent man like yourself and want to know more answers because they see things in the news. And I feel like it's my responsibility
let me explain.
to ask those things.
Because what you're saying is exactly what I was doing. So I need you to listen more. There's brilliant scientists who specifically focus on the molecular structure of different proteins in the brain. A lot of them happen to be working in pharmaceutical companies. Some are working in academia. Everyone's in the same fight. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, and everyone learns from each other.
What is
For
that?
example,
What is that fight?
to come up with a meaningful treatment for all of these different diseases. That's what the fight is. Everyone's in it for the same ultimate goal.
So, in a way, you are speaking for other people then, in this instance, in this situation, right? In terms of when you say everybody has the same goal, right? So, pharmaceutical companies have the same goal as Bob Stern and the CTE Research Center.
Jared, it makes sense that if you have a disease or a group of diseases, people would want to come up with treatments. That's it. It's pure and simple.
So, yes. Do you ever think that when somebody's attempting to find more answers, just as you are, like, do you ever feel elusive in your responses?
I don't want to be elusive in this response by not knowing what the question is exactly.
Do you ever feel elusive in your responses to people asking you about CTE?
Oh, yeah, if elusive means I can't have a direct, quick, clear response all the time.
Do you think that helps or hurts you conveying your message to people trying to understand what they can do?
Well, I guess it depends on who you're talking about and what it is they're trying to do. I think
I'm talking about teammates and former people that play contact sports that are near and dear to me, and that look to me because I had the privilege of being here in front of you and having such time with you and asking these questions and attending CTE conferences, reading the studies that you and other doctors and scientists have put out. That's who I'm referring to. I'm referring to the people that watch the publications and the news stories and the countless videos that you have online with Concussion Legacy Foundation and a bunch of other groups associated with Boston University. I guess that's what I'm asking, is for those people who see those things and get scared because you're warning people of the potential causes of this disease. And then I'm not asking you to speak about your colleagues, but you do have colleagues that are talking about the inevitability of playing for such a long time of contact sports, of a disease process like CTE, right? They get scared from watching these things. They get scared from watching movies like Concussion, right? But then when I get in these intimate situations with you, you tell me, well, there aren't any real definites, right? There aren't any things that we can say definitively. But the thing is that it's being portrayed as a definitive answer. It's being portrayed from the research that was done here as if it's inevitable if you were to play a contact sport for a long time, like me, 17 years, that it's inevitable that there's decline. That's who I'm speaking to. That's who I'm trying to translate information to.
all I can do is talk about my research that I'm responsible for, the studies for which I am the key responsible investigator, and how that gets across. And I get your frustration, Jared.
Do you?
Oh, I so do.
What do you think it consists of?
If the camera goes off, I'll talk.
Why is that?
Because we're done.
Yeah, but why do you? That's if it's such a good
Because
point.
we could continue to talk, and we can't.
Yeah, of course. But I want to hear what you think my frustration consists of.
And that's not what we're talking about right now. I was just trying to be nice as a human being, hearing your frustration. It's not part of the interview, because the interview's done.
Because the thing is that there's a lot of questions that I ask that I think you're just being very elusive about.
No, I'm being completely honest about it. Jared, I'm frustrated myself because of your negative attitude.
My negative attitude.
Yeah.
How's my attitude negative? How?
We can stop now. That's it. Where's our sound person?
I just think that's being ridiculous. Do you think I'm being ridiculous by asking a question? Do you think I'm a skeptic because I'm questioning? Isn't that the mode of science? Isn't that what science is for? To get into debates?
Understood. We're just going to leave now, sir. Thank you.
He's telling people all across the country that it's inevitable to get a disease.
Jared, you're actually being rude. Let's go. You don't hear yourself, and you don't think anything that you just said or did was inappropriate?
No, not at all.
So...
Not when you're going on national television time and time again, telling people that this disease is inevitable the longer that you play, and he can't actually answer those things. And he can't actually say those things, but yet they insinuate it continually over and over again. What do you mean I'm being rude?
You were pressing him into a place that was just...
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fucking point. I'm supposed to get angry like this.
Okay.
Because they're telling me that a disease is inevitable by the time that I played, and by my weight, by my position, by my age.
What did you hope was going to happen?
Exactly what happened. That he got frustrated because he can't give a straight answer.
I actually, don't really want to... I don't want to talk about this on camera.
Okay, well then don't talk about it on camera. Maybe I'm fucking nuts. I'll be fucking nuts. I really don't care. Because nuts people seem to be more entertaining and live a more fucking full life than the people who are constantly fucking safe and worried about offending people. I really don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck if I offended him. I really don't give a fuck if I'm ever allowed in that building again. I don't give a fuck. I don't have anything to be embarrassed about. I regret nothing about that experience. I don't know. You don't have to keep filming unless everybody's gonna sit down and talk and eat.